This past week's fairy tale chapters are something that I just have to give Hiro Mashima massive credit for. The man made two phenomenal fairy chapters with the combination of Natsu vs. Zeref escalating and Zeref's brand new form. There's really no way whatsoever that you could mess up this badass moment. It was Zeref's brand new form combined with him taking Natsu out in the fashion that he did. Many are beginning to speculate that something will take place very, very soon. Something that we've all been anticipating since the very beginning of the Alvarez arc, and you could even say some were even hyping it up since the end of the Tartarus arc. The reveal of E.N.D, or well, the re-reveal of E.N.D. We did see a glimpse at E.N.D during the Natsu vs. Gray fight, but for starters, there's no doubt in my mind that Natsu's full E.N.D form was never met, and that we only saw the very beginning of it within that fight. With that being said though, many, including myself, believe that E.N.D's reawakening is going to take place any minute now, and that Hiro Mashima is building up the suspense for a fight between Natsu and Zeref with their incredibly powerful forms that we're yet to see the full extent of. However, I don't personally believe that we'll have to wait much longer for this form to awaken, and if anything, I believe that it will awaken within the next chapter or two of Fairy Tail because of two major things that I'm going to share within this video. For starters, the book of E.N.D. We saw Lucy, Happy, and Gray open the book of E.N.D, and may believe that we would see Natsu tap into his E.N.D form right after seeing Lucy, Gray, and Happy open the book. However, after seeing them open the book, instead we saw Natsu enter Dragon Force in his fight against Zeref. Does this mean that our speculation was wrong here? Well, the answer to that is simply no. Now, this may be a little bit confusing as it's kind of hard for me to explain, but just try to bear with me here. So, we know that the timeline within the story isn't always chronological, meaning that what we're seeing isn't always in order of what's actually happening within the story. With that being said, I think that's highly likely that even though we saw Lucy, Happy, and Gray, as said before, open the book of E.N.D prior to seeing Zeref take out Natsu, that doesn't mean it happened in that order. Instead, I believe that right when Lucy, Gray, and Happy opened the book of E.N.D, Natsu was taken out by Zeref in the fashion that we saw within chapter 533. If I'm correct though, what does this mean? Well, the ideology of the book of E.N.D being opened, signifying Natsu's transformation in return taking place, is still a viable ideology to have. On top of that, I did find some pretty compelling evidence leaning in the direction of my theory and giving merit to the ideology that yes, Natsu will enter his E.N.D form relatively soon. Let's go back to the very first time. Yes, the very first time that Natsu entered his E.N.D form, when he thought that Lucy had died. Now, we see these two panels right next to the panel where Natsu's holding the motionless Lucy in his lap, a panel where we see Natsu's eyes, normal pupils, and all existent, and then the next panel is a panel where we see Natsu's pupils vanish, signifying his E.N.D transformation being underwent. Going back to the recent chapter as well, comparing the final panel to the panel where Natsu was crying after learning about the death of Makarov from Zeref, we see the exact same thing take place as we saw from Natsu's initial transformation. In the panel where Natsu was crying, we see his pupils, and then within the final panel of Fairy Tail chapter 533, we see Natsu's pupils vanish, and they're just simply gone out of nowhere. So, what does this mean? Well, if it's parallel to when Natsu initially transformed when Lucy died, and is once again signifying his transformation after finding out that Makarov died, then the likelihood of Natsu's transformation actually already starting is incredibly high. On top of that, going back to my initial point about the timelines within the manga, the transformation could actually be taking place simply because the book was opened. As well, as far as what this means for the story, well, we might be seeing Natsu return to his E.N.D form relatively soon, and if this does happen quick enough, then we have a really cool fight lined up for this that'll take place between E.N.D and Zeref with his Neo Eclipse form that we saw within the recent chapters. Tell me what you guys think about this theory in the comment section of this video. If you like this video, be sure to leave it a like and subscribe if you're new. Peace.